to set the I feel like American health is in the most confusing place it's ever been. Everybody wants to strive for a healthy version of themselves, but it can be impossible to find out what that means and how to get there. Yet somehow, everyone is also an expert. Go on social media and you'll find promises to just about every type of living under the sun. And one of those types of living is the carnivore diet. Now, this meat-only diet has been around for years, but was recently famously adopted by Director of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This gravelly-voiced prince of American royalty has changed American health on the government level. But after hearing about how he himself eats...
What is your personal nutritional intake like? What do you eat in a day?
I'm on a carnivore diet.
Oh, really?
So I eat only meat or fermented foods.
Oh, wow. The whole day?
The whole day.
Every day?
Yeah.
When I saw this clip, I had one thought. What would it feel like if I did that? Do I have it in me to do Do this diet for a full month? And if so, what would happen? Well, I need to do this diet for a full month? And if so, what would happen? Well, there's only one way to find out. Before embarking on a month of the carnivore diet, we first need to set the rules of what I can and can't eat. This will require a good deal of research into RFK's public statements on YouTube and on podcasts. I decided to dive headfirst into the experience, creating an alter ego of a man that would be inspired by RFK's appearances online. A carefully crafted Google account of a person that would decide to eat nearly only meat for 30 days. And after hours of work, I had it. Happily divorced 1963 at gmail.com. Initially, the clip of RFK that gave me the idea to do this was the Fox News interview where he talked about his diet. So I started there on a fresh account.
And while I was there, I asked Bobby Kennedy, our secretary, what his diet is. If you look at him, he's so fit.
He's not on the Ozempic diet.
He's not on Ozempic.
No, he's fit. He's doing it.
Fit, and he's all about eating healthy food. And I asked him what his diet was, and I asked him how many pull-ups he could do, but I also asked him his diet, and this is what he said. What's the Bobby Kennedy diet?
Basically, it's a carnivore diet, so it's mainly meat and then fermented vegetable, anything fermented. So a lot of yogurt, a good yogurt without sugar in it.
Kefir.
And then coleslaw and kimchi and all kinds of fermented vegetables. And it's really, I would say it's dramatically changed my, everything.
So it's just meat and fermented foods. Okay, then I guess that's all I'll eat for 30 days.
All right, I have to ask. You are in great shape. Can you go through your diet and exercise routine?
I do intermittent fasting. So I eat between noon. I start at my first meal at around noon. And then I try to stop eating at 6.
All right, so now we have an established set of rules, and it's not that complicated. I have to eat my day in calories between 12 and 6 p.m., and my diet is only made up of meats and fermented foods. Fuck, that's it? This is gonna be miserable. To not waste food, last night I tried to eat the rest of my leftovers in my fridge. But this morning, I needed to hit the grocery store and stock up for the next few days. In getting my very limited grocery list, I did add one thing that wasn't meat, yogurt, or kimchi. While creating my meal plan, I wasn't exactly sure what the vibe on vitamins was. And I found this clip of RFK talking about supplements.
I do. I take a lot of vitamins. I can't even list them to you here because I couldn't even remember them all. But I take a ton of vitamins and nutrients. I'm on an anti-aging protocol from my doctor, testosterone replacement.
Now, I will not be doing testosterone replacement therapy, and because he can't recall all the supplements he's on, I think a men's 1-a-day vitamin will just have to do for now. Before breakfast, I was sure to weigh myself, and I came out to 193.6 pounds. But after seeing the result, I realized I was also weighing my camcorder, so I weighed myself again and got my real weight, which was 191.6. Now, as for the benefits of this diet, RFK made these claims about his personal health.
That I've gotten enormous benefit from is going to the carnivore diet. For me, you can attribute some of that to placebo effect, but I had objective. I lost 20 pounds in 20 days, and it was really an extraordinary benefit in the way I feel, my mental clarity, my word retrieval.
Got it. So I will be paying attention to my weight, the way I feel, my mental clarity, and my word retrieval. The car. Dog. They're all small words. Hopefully this will improve. Breakfast was fairly easy to start the diet with because I just made bacon and eggs. While perusing the carnivore diet subreddit for meals, it seemed like people frequently started their day with 5 to 6 eggs, so I made 5 scrambled. I was a bit worried about my cholesterol, which was fairly healthy back in January when I got blood work done. But looking it up on the subreddit, it seemed like they didn't care much at all about bad cholesterol impacting your heart and would actively encourage people keeping up with the diet to distrust their doctors if they said anything about it. So to dive into the experience, 5 eggs and bacon at 12 p.m. was the plan. And later that day, around 5:30, I made a delicious bowl of ground beef. Red meat seems to be mostly the focus of a carnivore diet. And when it comes to people that do it often, ground beef with a little bit of bacon or a little bit of cheese or just completely on its own in a bowl seems to be one of the best meals. But since it was only the first day, the most challenging thing to me was not having 2 meat focus Red meat seems to be mostly the focus of a carnivore diet. And when it comes to people that do it often, ground beef with a little bit of bacon or a little bit of cheese or just completely on its own in a bowl seems to be one of the best meals. But since it was only the first day, the most challenging thing to me was not having 2 meat-focused meals. It was much more challenging to eat my day's calories within 6 hours.
I don't think this would be as difficult if I didn't have to eat it so fast. It's like I get, the diet's full of meat and animal products. I get it. You're trying to be a Viking. Rah, you're trying to be a caveman. Does it have to be between 12 and 6? Did they do that? I feel like they just ate when they were hungry, no? It's just a lot of beef.
Today I started by trying to parse through the rules of what I can and can't have. You know, I thought the most difficult part of starting a very restrictive diet and fasting schedule, full of primarily eating meat, was going to be everything that I just said. But the biggest hurdle in this whole thing so far is how impossible it is to actually find out what the rules are. While perusing the internet as Ned, aka happily divorced 1963 at gmail.com, I began getting algorithmic video suggestions and advertisements tailor-made to men on the carnivore diet.
I have to take a quiz? Have I interacted with...
During this, I got a YouTube ad for what seemed to be an AI-generated torch commercial.
It was too powerful for consumers, so they banned it from their shelves entirely. And now regulators are stepping in, pushing to limit the heat output on future production runs.
I'll be honest, it looked sick as hell, and I wanted to see what would come in the mail if I actually ordered it. So I began filling out my info. That's when it hit me. Ned didn't have a last name. Steak. Ned Steak. After filling out my very real card info, the charge failed, so I gave up. But minutes later, an incoming call buzzed my phone.
Yeah, well, let me just verify a few details here just to ensure everything is accurate. So it will be shipped under your name, Ned Steak, and then email address is happydivorced1963@gmail.com.
That's correct. It seems that the company used my failed charge to personally call me and attempt to get me to finish the transaction.
And I think you put the wrong expiration date or wrong CVV code, but let's see. Could you please verify the card number?
I don't feel super comfortable saying the card number over the phone. I can try again on the website, though.
Let me just send you an email so you won't pay for the shipping fee.
This appeared to be a scam. A scam that I was too smart for. You may have gotten my phone number. You may have gotten my address and my card information. But Ned Steak was too smart to give it to you a second time. But after days of looking at RFK and Fox interviews, other YouTube videos, and frequenting the subreddit, I sort of have an idea to follow. So a strict carnivore diet is made up of animal products only. That means you can't use anything that comes from a plant. And that shows up way more than you'd think when you're actually planning your diet around it. Unless you have a severe allergy or restrictive diet for your health, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Only mine is self-imposed and stupid. So when I'm out or don't have time to cook, just order meat at a restaurant, right? Well, it can't be cooked with garlic, onions, or olive oil because they are plant products. Okay, so I guess I have to cook everything at home. Easy enough, but I can't use spices. Okay, so basically I need to cook all of my meats at home and I can only use salt and pepper, right? Well, pepper is a plant product. And if you're thinking, duh, Eddie, peppers are vegetables. To that I say, peppercorn is actually a fruit. I'm smarter than you. And if you knew that it was a fruit when I said that it was a vegetable, congratulations. We've now all ranked how smart we are, and you're above me because I found that out while making this video. Unfortunately, my confusion continued on a day where I thought I would be brought more clarity. The Fox News interview with RFK, where he speaks on his diet, includes mention of Dr. Sean O'Mara. In that interview, RFK says that he's on a diet primarily of meat and fermented products.
Oh, I've had very good luck with it.
High protein.
High protein.
So that is the Dr. Sean O'Mara diet that he's on. My husband Sean is on it too.
So as I was planning and researching, I was pleased to see that Dr. Sean O'Mara has written a book on this exact diet, including meal plans. That book arrived at my doorstep this morning. But when I actually looked at the meal plan, I was shocked to find that it didn't follow the strict guidelines I'd heard about. The book mentions things that I didn't expect at all.
All right, I'm reading Dr. Sean O'Mara's book, and there's vegetables in here.
Stuff that would break a strict carnivore diet for those online, and even break the rules that RFK mentioned himself. Rather than just beef, salt, and fermented vegetables, there are mentions of onions, garlic, blueberries, spinach, oh my.
There's garlic in here, like, is that fine? Low sugar berries, cauliflower rice, fermented rye crisp breads. I can have those?
Looking back on that original interview, I noticed that Fox and Friends mentioned a later segment with Sean O'Mara on live TV. So I looked around for it and found it uploaded to his very own YouTube channel.
This morning, we're taking a deeper dive into the living carnivore diet.
Yeah, it's a new diet that helps eliminate visceral fat.
Dr. Sean O'Mara is an advocate for the living carnivore diet, emphasizing the importance of healthy meats and fermented foods.
In this segment, Sean has an array of foods laid out in front of him, and they actually resemble exactly what RFK talked about. Eggs, steak, kimchi, yogurt, the usual. This segment seems to completely align with the RFK diet. So much so that Sean O'Mara talks about fermented foods being good for your gut microbiome.
But these living foods are fermented foods. They're different from pickled food. Pickled food is just pickled with vinegar. And you really want to get the living, live, cultured, fermented with living microbes in them.
But he also demonizes regular vegetables.
A wonderful variety, living variety to your food that otherwise you're just eating dead meat or dead vegetables. I've worked with vegans and they're just eating dead vegetables. You need these fermented foods.
Okay, so any type of fruit and vegetable that isn't fermented is dead, and my food needs to be living. Well, then what the hell are onions and spinach then? Because the book I bought with Sean O'Mara's name on it mentions that I could use them.
I go over to what I can have, the quick reference table, and there's no lemon. But then I go to his recipes and there's pan-seared lemon.
Also, this is not the point, but I felt like it was important to show you. The re-upload of the Fox News segment on his channel cuts off. I didn't edit this at all. I just need you to see exactly what I saw.
Is this heart fat that surrounds your heart.
So let's...
I've spent decades developing and refining protocols that are scientifically proven to eliminate toxic fat. Now, for the first time ever, I'm revealing these same trade secrets in a completely free course. If you follow everything I teach inside, you'll not only start destroying visceral fat, you'll feel alive again. These are the same methods that transform lives all around the world, and I'm giving them away right now for free at growingbetterNotOlder.com.
Dr. Sean, sir, you are the greatest. I am trying to help humanity. It's a huge task. Anyway, I took my one-a-day vitamin and had a big bowl of salmon without any lemon, because that would be breaking the rules, Sean. And put your shirt back on. Physically, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. I prepped to not start lifting or doing any strength training because I thought I was gonna, be put out by keto starting. And it's fine. I think just fortunate that it's just been kind of fine. One thing is that my apartment is just constantly smells like meat. And I don't want that to be forever. Also, whenever I tell somebody about the diet in person, the first thing they ask is how I'm doing digestively, in the bathroom. I know this sounds surprising, but I'm fine. And also, please don't ask me that. But I know I'll let you know if something goes weird. I'll be uncomfortable about it, but surprisingly, it's been fine. This morning I went to the grocery grocery store and expanded my diet with 2 more fermented cheeses, Munster and Gouda. Now, I would like to split up my meals into smaller portions throughout the 6 hours. Actually, quick correction, I went back and looked at the interview of RFK and I paused too soon.
All right, I have to ask. You are in great shape. Can you go through your diet and exercise routine?
Oh, I eat between noon. I start at my first meal at around noon, and then I try to stop eating at 6 or 7.
So it looks like I have 7 hours, 12 to 7. But anyway, I had to leave the house for work for most of my day, meaning I couldn't space out my meals because I couldn't carry meat that was going bad in my pocket the whole time. So I made this massive omelet with Munster cheese. It was really good. It was also a lot to eat. The other addition I made to my fridge was a jar of beef tallow. Now, beef tallow has been having her own moments because of RFK himself, who campaigned heavily on replacing seed oils with beef tallow for cooking.
I don't have anything against fast food. I'm against food that has seed oils. When I was a kid, McDonald's was made with tallow fat. That was good for you. Your body needs that. It makes you healthy. Why aren't we making it with tallow fat again?
Even selling his own merch for it. Beef tallow is rendered beef fat you can heat up for cooking. Now, people on RFK's side of the movement will tell you that seed oils are horrible poison and that beef tallow is the naturally healthy option for your body. My problem is that when you try to look up what's healthy for you, you can get completely opposite answers from people who claim to be experts. Institutions that I tend to trust normally will say that beef tallow isn't the worst thing ever, but cooking with saturated fats often can be bad for your cholesterol and your heart health. But if you're searching for the opposing opinions, you will find it. You can find videos with millions of views claiming the opposite.
And so this is pretty much the best oil you should use to deep fry your food. And I hope you know that I am completely and utterly sarcastic today. Here's a picture of a kid who's smoking, right? Well, the oxidative stress that occurs with smoking kind of poisons us for about 6 months to a year after quitting. But when we consume the seed oils, right, it's going to poison us for about 3 years.
Then you read the comments and it's all over the place. Someone went to Italy and an olive oil maker said to never cook with it because when you cook with it, it becomes toxic. That can't be right, but I can't tell you the science on why it's wrong personally. Wait, okay, the comments say that olive oil's fine. Of course. Oh wait, no, you should only cook with avocado oil. And the top comment, I am 65, had hypertension, anxiety, and an irregular heartbeat. I eat healthy, and I got a divorce, and I'm recovering nicely. All right, I think I'm happy for you, but what the hell does that have to do with what I should cook with? Anyway, I used the beef tallow to make steak, and I overcooked it a little bit, but it was still really good.
We designed these pants to help beer belly men feel good every day, and thanks to all the support. This special sale, we're giving our biggest deal ever, 70% off. Buy one, get two. The only pants for senior men that understand the assignment. They flex, breathe, and don't judge me.
So the biggest time sink during this whole thing is that I'm not meal prepping, mostly because the first few days were full of confusion, so I didn't want to buy anything that I couldn't cook. So I spent Saturday prepping some food ahead of time like burger patties, unseasoned chicken, So I spent Saturday prepping some food ahead of time like burger patties, unseasoned chicken breasts, some bacon to be used occasionally, and a pound of ground beef that I could use in my eggs, with yogurt, or my favorite, on its own in the bowl with nothing else. However, over the next 2 days, my biggest problem wouldn't be wasting time cooking the food. It would be finding time when I could actually eat it. I started my day with a big omelet that I overcooked because I let the pan get too hot before I put the eggs in. I'm not exactly seeing the mental clarity that RFK was talking about. I'm still kinda dumb. Now after work, I was going to head over to my brother Tony's new apartment, which means I needed to take dinner on the go. I had some Greek yogurt and sauerkraut throughout the day, but as for my later meal, I took a bowl of ground beef and put it in Tupperware. However, Tony let me know before they left that they hadn't moved their dishes yet, so I took my own bowl and fork. Just headed over to my brother's new place with my dog food and my dog bowl. Now I was meeting some friends for a movie in an hour, but as I was casually trying to force down my bowl of ground beef, I got a text that my friends were seated in the theater. That's when I realized that my movie wasn't in an hour, my movie was right now. Halfway through my dog food, I had to abandon it, but Tony also had not moved his trash can yet. So I took my beef, I put it back in the Tupperware, and I got in my car to go to the movie. During The Devil Wears Prada 2, I knew in the back of my mind that there was a Tupperware full of ground beef just stinking up my car. And when I got back to it, that was absolutely true. So I had to pull over at a gas station on my way home and dump the beef out in a trash can. Steak and plain Greek yogurt for breakfast. You know, I do actually like steak, and it's somewhat fortunate to be able to have it for breakfast. I've just had a lot of meat lately. It's not about the steak, really. So today I'm leaving on a 2-day trip to celebrate 3 of my friends' birthdays. It's a joint birthday trip that requires me to drive 3 hours into the desert at 3 p.m. But I can only eat from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., meaning that even though I just had a full steak and Greek yogurt, I have about 3 hours to eat most of my calories for the day. So I went for a run to get my appetite up and then decided to bake some salmon right after. The plan was to eat half of it now before I leave, and then eat the rest of it in the car. Now, I've said this before, but with most of the inconveniences that come with this diet, you know, I still have food. But I will say when you have a tight window of when you can eat, and that food needs to be cooked and refrigerated, everything becomes a time crunch when you have stuff to do. So I needed to take the other half of the salmon on the road with me. But all of my Tupperware was finishing up being cleaned in the dishwasher, so I had to grab a bowl and wrap it in foil. Salmon cannot sit out for more than 2 hours, and I have a 3-hour drive. But it's not like I'm gonna eat a bowl of salmon in my car. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This was a new low for the diet. In just 3.5 hours, I had consumed around 1,940 calories. Now, if you're wondering, did I eat the salmon bowl while driving? If I'm being honest, I took one bite in traffic and immediately realized it would be too dangerous. So I pulled over on the side of the road and forced half of my salmon bowl down. I couldn't, however, finish it in one sitting. But it's not like I'm gonna save my salmon for later by placing it in the passenger seat of my car. Now, 8 days in on this trip, I actually, for the first time, experienced other people eating regular food in front of me. And man, it was way harder than I thought.
I reckon that garlic sauce actually have to kind of speak. He's still looking at us, isn't he?
But you know, it was both of their birthdays. Also, I don't think that as at least as a twin, I don't think that you're allowed to be close friends and have the same exact birthday. It's kind of like stolen twin valor. Also, their names are Jarvis and Jordan. You're doing 2 J names and you're friends and you have the same birthday. Like, you guys want to be twins so bad.
What are you doing?
Just looks it looks really good.
You wouldn't like that.
Why?
The house was filled with the delicious smell of chicken shawarma burritos with garlic sauce. And I had salted ground beef and plain Greek yogurt.
That looks really good, man.
Really?
No.
On the 10th day, nothing too notable happened except for the fact that my meat thermometer broke. I'm eating so much meat that I wore my thermometer out. At night, I got a desperate craving for any flavor that felt new. So I heated up some chicken broth with the kimchi brine to make a spicy soup, and it was so good to have something flavorful. I'm still not exactly sure why it's not okay to have anything plant-based, but it is if it's fermented. But whatever, those are the rules. Not only am I on a stinky diet full of meats and fermented foods, I am also in the process of moving. So I toured and applied for a place this morning. And when I went to the grocery store after, I just started staring at the bread and produce. I miss it so much, and I think it makes it more difficult because whenever I push my body and go for a run, I feel weaker, which just makes Makes me crave that food even more. But there was no bread or produce on the diet today. I had steak cooked in beef tallow and sauerkraut for breakfast, and a big omelet with Munster cheese and kimchi for dinner. That night I went to see a show at the Hollywood Bowl. At one point, the people I was with went to the bathroom, and I sat there by myself. People watching. There were couples excitedly splitting a popcorn, friends cheersing their drinks, some guy just absolutely housing a hot dog. The smell of food and the sound of it being shared surrounded me, and two thoughts crossed my mind. First, I want a hot dog so bad. But the second and more important thought was just about how much connection food brings, and how this diet is not just restrictive on the actual food, but how you experience it. In just 11 days, I'd been offered a drink or food so many times and had to politely decline. If anyone wants any type of drink or food with you that isn't at your house, you just can't really do it with them. Which isn't the end of the world, but man, it kind of takes some of the simple joys out of life. And that night, one of the simplest pleasures was dangled in front of me like a big, bacon-wrapped, juicy carrot on a stick. LA street dogs, everywhere on the walk back. One of the greatest smells of all time. Sizzling hot bacon, onion, and dogs wafting smoke that would lift you off your feet and through a kitchen window like a pie in a cartoon. Now you might think, well, just have the hot dog. Carnivore diet people think that that's too processed, so I can't have that type of meat. And the bun, oh my god, I want bread so fucking bad, dude. Whatever, I'm going to sleep. Day 12, and I had a friend in town visiting. And the thing about entertaining somebody at your place when you're doing a restrictive carnivore diet is, of course, you can't ask them to not have good food in front of you. Oh my god. But it's fine. I was fine. It's like it didn't even matter at all. It was not tempting or weird at all to have a delicious pizza in front of me. It's not rude at all to come over to my place and order a delicious pizza when you know I can only have ground beef. Like, it's totally fine. I guess it depends on like how good of a person you are, not how bad of a host I am. It's more of like how good of a guest are you. This doesn't have to do with the diet at all, but later that night I saw this billboard of the Mona Lisa being blocked by the 7-Eleven sign. And it's just like, if you think about it, it's like, it's really, it says something deep about like capitalism and art. I don't know exactly what, if you guys could say something in the comments, like, I know this is deep, but I just can't figure it. It'd be like such a cool artistic turn to this video. It's like, I need something deep in this. Oh, and 2 burgers for dinner. Day 13. Finally time for me to try working out with some strength training. Sure, I've been running every day, but I didn't want to lift weights and pass out if I was too weak from my body adjusting to ketosis. So I grabbed my weights and one very important new addition to my workout. Routine. My favorite athletic wear. Jeans. RFK famously works out in jeans. If you search RFK working out on Google, you will not find a photo of him in anything but jeans. He lifts weights in jeans. He's on a bike in jeans. Am I gonna split these jeans? Am I gonna Lenny Kravitz these jeans? I'll blur it if I do. Now, I plan to do a very simple full body free weight workout routine that I watch on YouTube. I have done this routine every Monday for the last 1.5 years. And as I began, I could feel the power of the jeans taking effect. As you can see, my mobility was incredible. I felt great. I looked great. Huh. Alright, that was a lie. I did look great, but I did not feel great. Even when I was stretching earlier, I already felt sore before the workout even happened, and I could tell instantly I just felt way weaker. Everything was harder to do. But with the strength of the jeans, I didn't give up. Whoa. Oh no, now I remember. I did give up. I was worried about hurting myself. I gave up. Now, normally after these full body workouts, I do go for a run. And of course, after doing a little bit of a leg workout, my legs are usually sore during. But this was completely different. I felt like I was running through molasses. I have run every day for over 10 years, and this was probably the least amount of energy I had in my legs to keep going. And I was correct to think so, because when I looked at my pace, it was a full 1.5 minutes slower than my average. I'm gonna keep an eye on the pace of my runs from now on, and I don't know how much of this is placebo, but I definitely do feel weaker. After a 1.5 weeks of reading up on carnivore diets and ketosis, one thing was very clear to me. All of this pseudoscience confuses the shit out of me. I'm starting to realize that anyone who speaks confidently about science, whether they are right or wrong, will temporarily convince me that it's true. I am a dumb and gullible guy. But luckily, I know someone who's really good at packaging correct information for dumb and gullible guys on the internet. So I decided to sit down and have a chat.
Okay, I mean, this isn't really something I'm an expert on. Eddie, put your shirt back on.
Okay, sorry. After impressing Hank with my new physique, I wanted to ask him about some of the science talked about in this Fox News interview.
To do with the fermented foods is chew them together. And the reason why you want to chew them together is this is coffee. And if I just add a little cream to that coffee and I don't stir it, it doesn't get mixed into it. But when you take that and stir it, you're mixing in the cream. And you want to do the same thing with fermented foods. You want to mix in the microbes.
So he's talking about chewing the fermented foods along with the meat at the same time. Like that's the thing that you need to do.
That was the coffee example, was that if you pour cream into a coffee and don't stir it, it doesn't mix in. So it's similar with when you
bit of a stretch.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Things still mix when they get to your stomach.
Yeah, I mean, not even that. I don't even think that you'd have to eat them in the same meal.
The other burning question I had for Hank Green was a simple one. What was up with this treatment that all plant-based things are bad? A lot of people frequent these subreddits and communities because they're dealing with some kind of chronic inflammation, and the idea of plants in general seems to be the culprit in their minds. Is there any science at all, or is that literally just vibes?
I mean, it's
at all in general seems to be the culprit in their minds. Is there any science at all, or is that literally just vibes?
I mean, it's literally just vibes to say letting anything plant-based into your system is going to cause problems. That is, I mean, we obviously evolved to eat a lot of plant stuff. We are omnivores. We are obviously omnivores. Now, what I'll say at the same time is there might absolutely be people who have sensitivities to things that they aren't aware that they have sensitivities to. And also our knowledge is incomplete to some extent. But like you may have like a gluten allergy and you don't know it. And so you go off of like all plants and you feel better because you aren't eating gluten, or you may have like a FODMAP thing. Plants are really good for you too. I want like in addition to them not being bad for you, they are also good for you. You know, beans and lentils and leafy greens and like all these things. Like
nice try, Hank. Trying to convince me that plants are good for me. Oh, it's good to have leafy greens? Yeah, I'm sure you'd think so. Look at his last name. As my meat diet reached a fortnight, I woke up in a cold sweat, as if I had dropped solo at Tilted Towers. There was one thought on my mind. Oh my god, I can have prosciutto and cheese. This doesn't sound like a big deal to you, someone who has been eating pretty regular for 2 weeks. But to me, this was a very big deal. To add anything to the diet, especially something I liked, brought tears to my eyes. And while I was on my run, I was excited to get home to... Sorry? I was excited to get home just to open up a pack of prosciutto. And I had eggs and bacon. Big surprise. I'm having eggs and bacon like every day. That was it. That was my whole day. The addition of prosciutto yesterday made me realize just how frustrated I'm getting with the lack of things that I can actually taste in this diet. So I decided to log back on as Ned Steak to see if I could find any evidence of RFK eating something that was seasoned. And to my surprise, it sort of looked like he does. Here's a photo of him in front of a steak, not eating it, and it looks like it has pepper. Here he did a photo op with barbecue. He's not eating it in the photo, but surely that has some added sugars in the seasoning. But when he talked about his diet, he strictly mentioned the good yogurt without added sugars. But then I found something different. A press release for the dairy industry where RFK was promoting Americans eating more dairy.
Well, I grew up in a world where milk was the healthiest thing that you could eat. There was been an attack on whole milk and cheese and yogurt over the past couple of decades.
All right, y'all, Secretary Kennedy and I are now going to scoop some ice cream. Apparently his favorite is mint chocolate chip, minus the green food dye. And mine is just regular chocolate chip, so we're going to scoop some ice cream. Thank you all for being here with us today. We really, really appreciate it.
I must have heard that wrong. Surely she didn't say that her and Secretary Kennedy we're gonna scoop some ice cream.
All right, y'all, Secretary Kennedy and I are now gonna scoop some ice cream.
I couldn't believe what was happening in front of my eyes. Just 2 weeks before Robert F. Kennedy spoke with Fox and Friends about his diet, this live stream occurred.
Apparently his favorite is mint chocolate chip, minus the green food dye.
Bobby, please tell me you're not going to take a bite. I've been eating meat for 15 days, Bobby. I've been eating unseasoned meat for 15 days, Bobby. Don't take a bite, Bobby. Please, Bobby, don't take a bite. Please, Bobby, don't take a bite. Just don't take a bite of the ice cream, Bobby. I'm begging you, Bobby. Don't take a bite. I have never felt so betrayed in my life. This diet is strict. And now I know what the F in Robert F. Kennedy stands for. That's right, the F word. The one you can't say. And I'm gonna say it right now. Failure. You have failed me, Bobby Kennedy, with your mint chocolate chip ice cream minus the green food dye. Now, the Fox and Friends interview was uploaded to YouTube on August 10th of 2025. This live stream was on July 14th of 2025. There is a chance that RFK could have started the diet, say, the next day, but they mentioned that they spoke to him at the Great American Farmers Market.
At the Great American Farmers Market, and while I was there, I asked Bobby Kennedy, our secretary, what his diet is.
Which was August 3rd to August 8th, 2025. Meaning when somebody asks you about your diet and you tell them what you're on and that it's been working for you, you'd probably talk about the diet you've been on for a while, not the one you've been on for 2 weeks.
And good yogurt without sugar in it.
So at the very least, this interview seems to imply that the diet he had been on for a while was the carnivore diet. So in seeing him take a bite of mint chocolate chip ice cream, I am adding pepper back into the rotation. I know. It's almost like I'm not even doing carnivore at all. Day 16 and it was time to work out for real. Taking from RFK, I put the jeans back on, but I needed to go full power. Let's do this. I did about a third of the workout and I gave up again. I felt really weak.
Okay, I just woke up. It is day 17. But I woke up to a dream that became a stress nightmare. And the dream was I was standing just over there at my counter in my kitchen, hunched over, eating one of those like frozen chocolate pies, not thinking anything of it. And then when I was getting to my last bite, I was like, oh my God. Just a few bites of this will completely change the way my body is processing everything and ruin all of the progress. And so then in the dream, I started trying to make myself throw up before I digested it. Woke up from that dream and was like, do I just full-blown have an eating disorder right now? Like, I'm definitely doing disordered eating, but that's not like for the video. I promise you the dream was not for the video.
Anyways, I am definitely moving this week. So I started packing up my place, especially my kitchen, and kept only the essentials. Then I made myself a wonderful new recipe. It's called Bowl of Ground Beef with a little bit of bacon. I got it from the Carnivore Diet subreddit, and wow, it tastes like meat.
I'm not really in a bowl. There's a bowl of sauerkraut. I know you thought I was in a big bowl, but it's actually a small. I'll show you. It's actually a small bowl. Optical illusion. Crazy stuff. Movie magic. I don't know. The things you can do with cameras. You know, they shot E.T. on one of those things. Little alien. That's my body goals, by the way. That motherfucker had visceral fat for sure. Look at his build. And what's going on with those fingers? Boy, would I like to know. Fuck.
I am now the better part of a month into this lifestyle, and I will say the eating actual meals part has gotten a lot easier, but I was naive to think that I was past the temptations outside of the meals. Those are getting worse. Today I went to the grocery store to get some meats, obviously, and I found myself just looking at the cakes, wishing I could take a bite. I had plans that night, so I rushed to cook myself some food, and for some reason decided to torture myself by watching a Binging with Babish peanut butter and jelly jelly sandwich video while I ate my meat. Everything looked so good that I straight up had to turn the video off at one point. Sorry, Babish, I don't know which PB&J tasted the best. To be honest, I don't fucking care. I'm jealous. Later that night when I went to my friend Zay's show, I ordered a soda water without the lime. First off, at the bar, they charged me $3 for a soda water. We can't be doing that. We can't be charging people for water just because it's a little bubbly. But I think they misheard me and thought I said soda water with lime because that'd be a super normal thing to say. I got a soda water, but I can't have the lime. Do you want the lime? Sure. Enjoy it. I can't even lick my fingers. Humiliated. Laughed at. Ugly. This is the world you wanted for me, Bobby. A world where I can't even have the lime. Closing in on my move, I hit a very repetitive routine for the next few days. With little time to do anything other than work, run, go to the grocery store, cook and eat meats, pack, and repeat. The same thing day after day after day. Now, there's something about these days that I find equal parts stressful and peaceful. Obviously, there's a lot to be done, but there's really no choices involved. There are things to be packed and there is meat to be eaten. I don't really have to think about much. Part of me does enjoy not having to battle what I think is healthy or not every day. Because to be honest, since I was a teenager, that choice has kind of plagued me for every meal. I want to do a good job and be healthy, but also enjoy my life. And there are some foods that get both of the... Buffalo wings, pizza, and beer doesn't exactly have me feeling like I did a good job. So to have a pretty restrictive meal plan while miserable most of the time did silence a little part of my brain that I don't love. The final night in my place. Earlier that day, I had a delicious 4 burger patties for dinner. I ran out of Munster cheese slices after 3 patties, so for the 4th, I actually cut some Port Salut in the shape of a cheese slice. And while it melted different, it was very gooey and actually really good. But I soon realized that I had packed all of my plates away for the move. So with my 4 burger patty and kimchi dinner, I had perhaps the most fine dining experience in all of the 8 years at my apartment. I am ready to move, but I don't have any dishes to cook breakfast. So my breakfast will be 2.5 slices of cold bacon. Now, I did not film any of the actual move because I don't want any of you freaks to know where I live, but the diet actually made this day very challenging. The 2 things I need access to are refrigeration and the ability to cook. And during a move-in day, you just don't really have either of those. So other than these slices of bacon, the only thing I ate the full day was a pack of prosciutto in my car in between places. So by the end of the night, I decided to break the fasting rules because I was starving. I got myself a nice steak from my new local grocery store and some sauerkraut. Ooh. That's what the diet's all about, baby. Like it was nothing. Sauerkraut. One of my 4 foods. In the days following my move, I mostly felt pretty good. My workouts were still slower and weaker, but mentally things weren't that hard. There are a lot of things that I hate about this diet, but if I'm being honest, there are a couple of things about having a restrictive diet that I do love. The constant voice that asks me whether the choices I'm making are healthy or not is silenced. And if I'm being honest here, I kind of feel like I'm doing a good job. When you've bought into the fact that the difficult thing you're doing is healthy, sticking with it feels good. I've been good for nearly a month now without breaking the diet. Sure, good means I've mostly just eaten meat at the expense of the lives of like 30 to 40 animals, but good nonetheless. The social stuff is annoying. Like I was at a friend's birthday party and they set aside some unseasoned meat for me.
He's being modest
I'll have a little bit. If everybody's doing it, I'll have a little bit.
Well, not everybody.
If everybody who's anybody is doing it.
Just me and my plate of unseasoned shrimp and a little little bit of steak.
Yeah, I understand that way. So, Fred Armisen was...
Oh, that was a weird swallow. I should have chewed more. Now, I did think about mixing lamb into my diet once, but after seeing the film Sheep Detectives, I don't think I'll ever do that ever again. Why was everyone so mean to Winter Lamb? I love you, Winter Lamb. I will not be mean to you. I will protect you. Get behind me. You know all that shit I was saying about being used to the diet and doing a good job? I take it all back. Yesterday I had gotten American cheese for the burger patties I had, and so I made a 6-egg omelet with American cheese. It was too much. And unfortunately, I've finally gotten the egg ick just 2 days before being done. On top of that, I got the same ick for sauerkraut. Being tired of 2 foods on this diet takes away like half of the pie chart. After my omelet, I met some friends for brunch, and the only thing that I could order was 2 sides of bacon. I kid you not, the bacon arrived at the table, and for the whole patio to hear, the waiter loudly said, 4 pieces of bacon for Eddie? Yeah, that's me. Those 4 pieces of bacon are for me. And I don't know if it was just that I was getting super tired of the meat diet, but I felt awful. The highlight of one of my last days was trying these kimchi pickle chips. Most pickles that you can buy at the grocery store aren't fermented, but these are. I just want you to hear my very real reaction to having something new and fresh for the first time in weeks.
Oh my God, dude.
Before my last meat supper tomorrow, I got one of those keto strips that you have to pee on to show if you're in ketosis or not. So here's proof with something that I peed on, just so you guys don't accuse me of faking this. I really did hold to this all month. I am proud of myself.
All right, let's talk about the last day. So the last day of this whole thing is actually the day that I needed to go over to my apartment and clean it out because my lease was about to be up. At this point in the diet, you know, things are running smoothly. I make my bowl of ground beef, I put it into the Tupperware container, and I head over there. Now, I didn't want to be thinking about my weight the entire time, so I made a plan in the beginning to weigh myself on day 1 and then on day 30. My scale was actually at the old apartment, so I was going to pick that up and a few other things, clean, and then get out of there. Now, what I'm thinking when I'm heading over is that over the last month, I've actually started to feel a lot different about my body than when I started. I've had different stages of losing weight and gaining weight and working out a ton since I was like maybe 16 or 17 years old. But ever since like I would say 2023, I've had a really good relationship with food and how I feel about my body, my exercise, my health. However, this whole thing kind of had me falling back into an old pattern of it was like the more that I worked at my body and the more I committed to my diet, the worse I felt and the more I criticized myself. I feel like when you make such a big focus of your day, your diet, and your relationship with your body, you just start looking in the mirror different. But the positive feeling that I also didn't like is that I felt like I was losing weight. And I was bigger when I was younger, and so the idea of being skinnier still does like feel positive in like a feedback in like the back of my brain, like this kind of insecure teenage part of me. And I think, you know, over this month, I started to feel better about myself in that way. And so I was kind of excited to get on the scale and see what the number was. I felt like I had cut weight. I felt like I was skinnier. And then I got on the scale. Reminder, when I started this whole thing, it was 191.6 pounds. RFK said he lost 20 pounds of visceral fat on this diet. And I have dedicated an entire month to just eating basically meat and then cabbage for 30 days. So when I got on that scale, and it was 186 pounds, dude, I was so mad. A little over 6 pounds is what I lost during this whole thing. And my goal wasn't to lose weight, but to be honest, I didn't feel any extra mental clarity or this crazy word retrieval that he was talking about. I just felt like me, except I had a bunch of meat for a full month.
There was still work to be done before I had my first regular meal again. First, I went to the hospital and got some blood work done before my veins were tainted with bread or vegetables. Before breaking the diet, I was sure to do one final thing. I needed to make sure to take progress pictures of my body.
Is it good?
Yeah. Then I headed to the grocery store, got my supplies, and made a good old peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And oh my god, this was the best thing that I maybe have ever tasted in my whole life, and I'm not exaggerating. So the diet was finished, I had regular food, and everything went back to normal.
But then, a few days later, through my insurance app, I got a message. And that was because the results of my blood work showed that my cholesterol was way higher than it was in January. And so the message from the doctor that looked at my blood work goes as follows. Your most recent blood test shows that your bad cholesterol is super high. Based on your age, gender, cholesterol level, and your overall risk factor, and this next part is in all caps, we highly recommend that you start on a cholesterol medication, not only to keep the cholesterol level low, but to keep your arteries open and most importantly, lower your risk to develop any cardiovascular event such as a heart attack and stroke. Then it comes with a prescription for cholesterol medication, and it begs me in all caps to follow up with my primary care doctor about managing my cholesterol. Now, I will say, this was scary to receive. I don't really care what somebody on the carnivore diet subreddit says about my cholesterol. This is a doctor who seems freaked out for me. As I was going through this month, I was listening to a lot of podcasts that RFK would do. And at one point he had this guy on who was talking about how doctors will just prescribe medication.
My mom was on the chronic disease treadmill. For 40 years, it was one pill after the next. High cholesterol, oh, no problem, here's a statin. High blood sugar, no problem, here's metformin. High blood pressure, ACE inhibitor. Every single time, this is a drug deficiency, no problem, just take the pill. And the reason I'm in this fight is because if one of those doctors, instead of prescribing her another pill, said, I'm gonna write you a note with a detailed dietary plan.
Which was baffling to me because I've never interacted with a doctor that hasn't also just given me general health advice. And in my doctor's message about my cholesterol medication, it also includes a full breakdown on how I can improve my diet and exercise to lower my cholesterol. I'm sure if I went to my doctor, they'd also have a discussion with me about this. But what freaks me out is if you are somebody in this country who isn't as lucky as me and can't afford insurance, it's very easy to believe people who tell you that doctors actually don't care about your health and that they'll just write you a prescription and that's it because you can't afford to go to the doctor. You can't afford to have that conversation. And so I feel like that argument is even more appealing when you're on the other side of things because then it tells you you actually don't need this stuff because doctors are out to get you and they don't care about your health. So it's actually okay. And instead of say, I don't know, voting for your own health insurance, maybe you should just eat a bunch of meat instead.
It's a really interesting time. And when you go to the doctor and they tell you that you should eat better and exercise, this is not like a thing doctors don't tell you. They do. Trust me, I've experienced it. It's just not like a compelling story. Okay, I should, but is it going to taste as good as a whiskey and Coke? No. Like, come on. But if there's like what we have now is like people in positions of power who really understand how to tell a story that gets people really engaged. Not everybody, but like a lot of people. And there's like a power to that. And I think that, like, honestly, I do believe that RFK Jr. believes the shit that he is full of. I have no indication that that is not the case. But I think that ultimately, like, he believes that illness can only result from the choices of individuals, which, as a person who got cancer through no fault of my own, I don't think is true. The main mediator for the cancer that I got is whether or not you get mono as a child, which I did. And like, that wasn't my fault that I got mono. You know, there's this idea that illness is unfair and thus it must have some unjust cause, or some, you know, if it's happening to me, some unjust thing happened to me. If it's happening to someone else, then maybe they did something that caused it. But that's not how illness works. We get sick, and eventually we all die of illness. Like, we don't die because we got old. We die of some kind of specific combination of illnesses. And like, that is how it is. Underneath all of this is this very upsetting thing to me, where it seems like there is this idea that if you are healthy, you do not get sick. And so just stay healthy and you won't get sick. And if you got sick, it's because you didn't stay healthy. And I find this very upsetting. We are not as in control as we would like to be. And giving people this sense of control, giving them this like feeling that they can control the destiny of their health, is both a lie, and also it makes it feel like if there is somebody who is unhealthy, it's their fault, which is not how it goes.
Hi. Thank you for watching till the end of the video. I just wanted to say, and this is completely optional, if you have any interest, I started a Patreon with my brother Tony for our channel together, and also my channel, the one you're watching right now. We're making a bunch of stuff. I do DVD commentary on old videos, like the AI one was the most recent one that I did. I'll also be posting shorts there, and I go through my letterbox and talk about movies. Tony and I also make a completely Patreon exclusive show there called The Box from the Basement. We just had our friend Nikki Jakey on. We were a little slow to getting things going, but we're really getting into the groove this summer. So if that sounds like something you want to see, and if you want to support us there, that would be cool, but it is completely optional. If you're thinking, hey, I don't want to support that guy, don't support me then. You got to the end of the video. That's really all I can ask. I worked really hard on it. So, like, thank you for getting to this point. That's all. Oh, those are my legs.
What's up, Greg? I've got a stand-up show coming up in Milwaukee at Habs Theater on August 28th. If you want to get tickets, go to DannyGonzalez.live or click the link in the description. I recommend getting those quick before they sell out. Also, if you want to know when I'm coming to your city, sign up for my mailing list. You can scan this QR code or click the link in the description. You can also request your city, and that helps me decide where I should go next. And you'll even get early access to show tickets. So the people who are on the mailing list already knew about this Milwaukee show. Not to rub it in, but they've probably already got their tickets by now. So come on down to the Milwaukee show and I'll see you there. And if not, then sign up for the mailing list. And if not, then watch this video right now. What's up, Greg? One of my many guilty pleasures are tours of insane mansions on YouTube. You know those videos where they tour like $50 million mansions that all look like somebody tried to build a shopping mall in Minecraft? The guy giving the tour is some eccentric Willy Wonka type dude that somehow knows even less about the house than you do.
I don't even know if this is the original one or not. This is, I guess, a Pilates machine. Sure. And then you have that. I have one of those too. I don't know how it works, but I do have it.
A bench? You don't know how a bench works? But what I find so much more interesting are weird houses. There's communities all over the internet like this subreddit Zillow Gone Wild where people post houses where the owner has made the most objectively strange choices possible. A church converted into a home, a warehouse converted into a warehome, and a McMansion with mouth urinals. On one hand, I appreciate these homeowners like striving to do something different and not just hopping on the millennial gray train and making their houses look like heaven in Bruce Almighty. But when it finally comes time to sell your house, isn't it going to be hard to find anybody else on the planet that wants to buy your $9 million castle in Texas? Especially when there's this perfectly good one in Indiana for a tenth of that. I never catch these swaggy home tour dudes going to houses like this, so I thought it would be fun to do a video where I do some house tours, but I go to wacky ones. To start, how would you and all your boys like to live in a 3,000 square foot house? 4 beds? 3 baths? Okay, well, there is one teeny tiny little catch. It is an abandoned grain elevator. And it is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's not completely abandoned from the pictures. It has been renovated on the inside. It looks like you don't need to be a kernel of corn to enjoy this place. Look at that. What used to be a grain elevator is now just a regular house with regular house stuff like a living room, a kitchen, and that guy. So apparently for the past couple years, while the owner hasn't been living in this house and he's been trying to sell it, he's also had it on Airbnb. And it's weird because on Zillow, all of the pictures look super bright and airy. They make the space look very inviting. And then on Airbnb, all the pictures look like this. Why are they all at that angle? It makes the whole place look sinister as hell. Normal laundry room? Evil laundry room. I am really appreciating the creativity I'm seeing here. I'm more so just curious of why someone would choose to turn a grain elevator into a house. But I'm even more curious about what a grain elevator is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grain elevator house. This house has a lot of lore, a lot of interesting things about it. I'm very excited to take you inside to take a look. From the outside, this thing is an imposing structure. This area of Minnesota is very flat, and this building is extremely tall. You can see this thing from like 4 miles away. This was a functioning grain elevator before it was abandoned and then went into disrepair for years and then was transformed into a beautiful home. Over here is a big garage door where trucks used to come in and dump grain. So that's where the trucks would come on in. But hey, you're a person. Why don't you come this way? The first thing you see here is like a very normal kitchen. I mean, you can hardly even tell that this isn't a regular house when you're in this portion. Over here, they have a framed newspaper article about the guy who owns this place. So this is Scott. He gave us a tour of this house this morning and sort of gave us the lowdown and all the lore of this place. But basically, he bought this grain elevator when it was like completely abandoned, in disrepair. He had 2 little boys at the time and wanted some place to live in. We asked him why he chose this place, and he said because he got divorced. And that pretty much answered every question we had about this whole place. Over here is the main living area, and you can tell right away the scale of this place. Like, this area that we're in now is really big, it's tall, there's a balcony level up there, and this is like a very small portion of the actual grain elevator structure, which is crazy. So before this guy started fixing this place up, he said it was pretty much like totally in disrepair. There were like dead animals everywhere. It was like knee-high grain everywhere you could step. This is a slide from just like a regular park. You can see where kids have like scratched things into the slide. Like it says Steve Hart's somebody, and then he scratched that out, and then it looks like he later came back and wrote Cindy instead. So I don't know what happened to Steve and his first love, but I hope that him and Cindy are still going strong from whenever this was written, which I can only assume was in the late 1920s. The winters here in Sabin, Minnesota are pretty brutal, and so one thing that the owner Scott said he does to keep himself busy is puzzles. So there's puzzles all along the wall here. Again, this bench he said he got from an auction for like $5 from a restaurant. And then you've got some of Scott's literature, some of the stuff he likes reading, I guess sort of his inspiration for building some of this stuff. There is a climbing wall elsewhere in this house, and it's kind of interesting because there's a book here called Building Your Own Climbing Wall. Oh, he's got a feng shui guide, which no doubt helped him sort of formulate the space in here. Okay, this is a weird book. Building a straw bale house. I don't know why you would want to do that, but maybe this is his next project. Once he's done with this place, he's gonna get to work on a straw bale house. There's this giant mural on the wall. So this is the first area that he said he worked on, because right when he bought this place, he wanted to have a place where he could live with his 2 boys. And so this like small area became their apartment. There's like a living room here, TV. There's a climbing wall going up the wall, which is pretty crazy. This is actually like so much harder than I thought it would be. Okay, out this door, we have the deck. Now, it's not a very big deck. This abandoned railroad track right here used to be where a train would pull up to deliver grain. It's not in use anymore, but the railroad company does still own it, and so they won't let him build over it. And so he built this much deck and then had to stop, and then I guess was like, yeah, I guess this is just the deck now. It's worth it to have this much deck. Okay, here we have a very interesting staircase. I was pretty confused the first time I saw this, but apparently it's designed to only like fit 1 footstep per stair. If you start on your left foot, dude, you're screwed. You're not gonna get very far. Watch. And then you're just stuck there forever. Now you might be thinking like if you lived here, like, oh, I'd get used to those stairs eventually, but I don't know. These are kind of like, these are wild stairs, dude. I'm still like a little bit out of breath from climbing that climbing wall. Now, in case you're like me and had no idea what a grain elevator really looked like inside before this, let me show you this helpful diagram of how a grain elevator works. Grain is delivered and dumped into a pile right here. It is then brought to the top by what is essentially a conveyor belt covered with buckets. At the top, the grain is sorted by type and put into the appropriate grain bin. I think in this particular grain elevator, there's like 40 individual bins. And to give you an idea of scale, this whole living area is 1 grain bin. You may have noticed the walls in here kind of look like a log cabin. That's because big piles of grain create so much pressure on the walls of the bins that they're built by stacking 8-inch thick planks of wood on top of each other. You can see here in this doorway how thick the walls are. It's insane. But if they weren't built like this, the place would explode. If you think about how big this building is, this is an insane amount of wood. So this area is just like a cool little clubhouse, I guess, up here. Although the way it's outfitted right now does make it look a little bit depressing. There's just like one sad pad. This is one sad pad, dude. So I came up this way. You might think I have to go back down that way, but the labyrinth continues. I'm going that way. I'm going this way. This is just like a pretty regular bathroom, although I do think it's worth pointing out this painting of the Cat in the Hat. Don't know why that's there. This house has a crazy amount of beds too. There's a bed here, a bed there, and then down here, there's 2 little like under beds. They're just little caverns. See? And now we've looped our way all the way back around to the main area, but now we're up on the balcony level. Here's the slide, and then over here, there's just like a cool hangout area, a TV, a bar. The cool thing about the underside of this bar is that this part was like an original piece of the grain elevator. This is like a map of all of the grain bins. It's just so interesting, like all of the details of this place. Like everything has like a little story or there's something interesting about every piece in here. Anyway, I'm gonna go down that slide. Okay, here I go. Oh, Jesus, okay. That's the sound slides are supposed to make. Oh, also over here, there's windows, and this like area is not finished, and there's just like pigeons that live in there. If you look in there, there's just pigeons in there, dude. I think they like to be like right up in that window because they like to watch people go down the slide. And I'm not about to disappoint them. Woo! What did you guys think? Hey, where'd they go? As you guys can probably tell so far, there was a decent amount of like research and coordinating with owners that went into this video. That is pretty much like the whole finished area of the house that is accessible to the regular like Airbnb guest. But we've got a bit of exclusive access. So we can show you some of the behind the scenes areas that, you know, if you wanted to buy this house, you would get the pleasure of fixing up. You've probably thought to yourself throughout this tour, like, wow, this place is so homey and livable. The wood walls make it feel like a log cabin. What do the unfinished areas look like? Surely not that creepy, right? Now, they're pretty fucking creepy. There's some scary parts about this, for sure. The fact that this door locks from this side, so if you get locked in that hallway, you're just in there forever. Well, I guess there is like a light at the end there. There is a door there, but the downside is that to walk there, you gotta walk down this creepy-ass hallway that is for sure booby-trapped. You would be riddled with arrows by the time you got over there. All right. Dude, let's get out of here. I'm scared. Whoa, hey, that's how the video ends and I never post on YouTube again. This area is like just storage. There's not too much interesting that he told us about the house in here. But while we were in here, he did tell us that he got in a plane crash once, just in like a 6-seater Cessna plane and like got a bunch of money because of it. So that's pretty cool. He didn't really elaborate much on it, but it sounded scary as hell. And this is a cool area where you can go on the roof. Check it out, I'm on the roof. So according to the owner, this used to all be one structure, like there used to be stuff in the middle right here, but at one point this whole thing started to sink into the ground because it was just too heavy, and so they had to like cut out a middle portion of it, and so that's why it's two distinct structures now. And he did say that although they prevented it from sinking any further, it is still leaning a ton, which you can tell if you look at a lot of the drone shots of this place. Now, being on this roof, like, you feel pretty high up, but then you look up and realize like you're nowhere near the top of this grain elevator. This thing is massive, and like only a very small portion of it has been finished or like is livable at all. So you could see that as like, you know, so much wasted space or just so much potential. This area is sort of Scott's workshop, and this is from the smell of it where all the pigeons live. One of the reasons Scott is selling this is because he intended on turning this area into a cannabis dispensary, but his neighbors kind of shot his idea down. So the people who are considering buying this place are actually going to keep it an Airbnb, but then turn this unfinished area into an end-of-life care facility. So it's gonna be half Airbnb, half end-of-life care facility, which is an interesting business plan. Okay, let's go up these stairs. Okay, so in this room is something pretty cool. You can actually see all the way up to the very top of the grain bin. I mean, look at how huge that is. Imagine how much wood is in this building. Like if you just like chopped it all down. And then I believe I hear like 1,000 pigeons mating up there. Now, one cool thing about this house is that since it is an Airbnb, the owner offered to let us stay here at night, which means we get to see this place all lit up at night. And it is pretty cool with all the lights on, honestly. I am a little bit worried that like when I turn off the lights and it's dark and totally quiet in here, I'm just gonna notice how much I can hear the pigeons that live in this place. That's gonna be kind of disconcerting. The owner was telling us that sometimes he gets like negative reviews on Airbnb because of the pigeons, and he claps back at them. He'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know why I built this place. You don't know, I don't want the pigeons here. I don't really know if that's like that good of a clap back. He's like, you think I like pigeons? I fucking hate pigeons. I wish they would leave. Rate me 5 stars. Well, anyway, there's like 1 million beds in this place, so I think I gotta pick which bed I'm gonna sleep in. There's a lot of unique options in this house, but something about this tiny little hole that leads to this like underneath cubby is really speaking to me. I feel like I'm very protected in there. There's a pretty low chance of a pigeon ending up in there. Yeah, I'm actually surrounded on 2 walls by the very sturdy 8-inch thick wood walls, so I don't think I'm gonna be hearing any pigeons through those. Yeah, I don't know, once you get over the like the claustrophobia of it all, it is just a cozy little nook, a little nook and cranny. It's more, I don't know, is this space more of a nook or a cranny? Guys, comment down below. Who laying in a cranny right now? As I tucked myself in grain bin number 16, I couldn't help but think, growing up here would feel like being in a Disney Channel show. This place is so whimsical. Like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but instead of a hotel, it's a grain elevator, and instead of Mr. Mosby, it's a pigeon. Well, guys, I did it. I slept one whole night in the grain elevator house. Honestly, I slept like a baby, and not even in the screaming, crying kind of way. It's weird how, to me, sleeping in a tiny little wooden cave of sorts seems cozy and pleasant. But when I sent a picture to Laura of where I was sleeping, she was like, that is my worst nightmare. So, different strokes for different folks, I guess, you know? Whatever elevates your grain. This place has a lot of quirks, you know, from the cavernous, unfinished areas to the pigeons. But I also got to admire the amount of creativity and, like, reuse of materials that went into this place. And you know what? This place is not really for a 30-year-old guy to judge. This was built by a divorced dad who wanted his sons to think he was cool, and I have to imagine they do. The UFO house. 8 beds, 8 baths, $1.5 million in Hurricane, Texas, which is right next to Zion National Park. This place is fully alien themed, as you can see. There's even a slide. This video is weirdly slide themed so far. The listing boasts a cryogenics bunk room, a flight deck, and even a full-scale flying saucer. Full scale according to who? Excuse me, what UFO did you measure to get that stat? It better be as big as the one from Independence Day, or I'm gonna fucking sue them. Look at this place though, like who would do this? Who would take a perfectly normal home and turn it into some kind of Airbnb? It's an Airbnb. It's because it's an Airbnb. I don't know if it was always an Airbnb. Like, I don't know if this was built to be an Airbnb or if it just is now. One confusing thing about this listing is that as you're going through it, it's like, ooh, look at all the cool UFO and alien themed stuff. And then all of a sudden it's a log cabin. It's just a picture of a log cabin that was taken on like the first iPhone ever. Is this what the outside looks like? But then you keep going and the inside is a log cabin too. What happened to the UFO place? They're like, no, it's always been a log cabin. I don't know what aliens you're talking about. You sound crazy. Obviously, the presence of Airbnbs in a town can drastically change the housing market, diminishing the housing supplies, making prices go up like crazy. And I can only imagine that insanely themed Airbnbs exacerbate this problem. Unless anyone watching this wants to buy this UFO home for their family, in which case, hell yeah. You're insane, dude. That's awesome. If you guys saw my last video, you saw me make some very poor attempts at the Utah fad, dirty sodas. Most of them were disgusting, some of them curdled. I liked none of them. But because this house is in Dirty Soda's home state of Utah, I decided to come on down to Swig and have a professionally made one myself. And it's right here. This one is called the Texas Tab, and it is the exact one that I tried to make at home. It's Dr. Pepper, coconut cream, and vanilla. It does just kind of look like a creamy Dr. Pepper. Fuck, that's really good. That's crazy good. Wait, that's way better than the one I made at home. This is great news because I'm in Utah for 3 days. I'm gonna have 3 of these a day. Ah, yes, thar she blows. Area 51, home of a alien. So it turns out that this place is actually not just one building. There's this building, which is Area 51. It's the hangar where the UFO is. But there's actually 2 more buildings. That's why the listing had like a log cabin type place. So that is this building, which is labeled the Roswell Cabin. And then there's another building all the way in the back over here called the Atomic Love Shack. Now, it's pretty clear like what the theme of the Area 51 hangar is, and like I sort of get the Roswell Cabin. Like I guess it's like a cabin where a UFO sighting would happen. The Atomic Love Shack seems the least involved in all of this lore. All right, come on into the Atomic Love Shack. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, this place just looks like a regular studio apartment. It is not themed at all, so I think we can move on to the next building. The least they could have done is like detonated a nuclear bomb in here, you know? Just to help with the theme. Okay, now we're really starting to enter the themed areas. This is the Roswell Cabin. There's a little more UFO theming here. There's a giant picture of a house getting abducted by a UFO. And then if you look out that window, you might really be scared. You might think to yourself, oh my God! Oh my God, what the fuck? I know when I walked in here for the first time, I said far worse than that, let me tell you what. For some reason in every bedroom, there's like a little diagram on the wall that appears to have giant arrows pointing to all of the exits in this room. And there's just arrows being like, okay, you can get out this way, this way, this way, this way. Maybe this is like where aliens can enter while you're asleep. It's like, just so you know, aliens can get in here, 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 here. And they're gonna touch you here, 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 here. You flip it over, that's the other diagram. They're gonna touch my butt and abduct my house. What the fuck? Lots of little bear statues around here. I don't know if you saw the one in the front, but I really like this one because it kind of looks like he's going, ah! He just saw somebody get abducted by aliens. This area of Utah is really nice. It's pretty. This is Hurricane, Utah. Last night we stayed in St. George. We got Swig yesterday, as you guys saw. Today we got to see the sights a little bit more. We did hit up Swig 2 more times, which was awesome. As you come up to the door, there's some warning signs that there's something not quite right afoot here. You got your liquid methane, experimental mutantogen. Guys, these are all radioactive. Don't look at where it says pear puree concentrate. That's a joke. That's a joke that they play at Area 51. There is garbage in there.
Oh, gross.
Oh, gross garbage.
What the fuck?
Oh, man,
What is this stuff?
thought that was gonna be tasty liquid methane. On the door here is a sign that says Area 51, warning, restricted area, use of deadly force authorized. And the first time I opened this door, I actually did get shot in the face. And this is where the fun really happens. We've got a gigantic UFO in here. Also, just look at like this space. This is like a legit hangar. So this is honestly like a really well-built, very detailed UFO thing. And when you come in here, well, it's kind of just a gamer room. You got there's an Xbox here, there's 2 TVs. We continue our space and an aeronautical theme here with just some airplane seats. It's a UFO, but they just got regular airline seats. And then if you open this door, you can actually sleep inside the UFO. So we got bunk beds over here. There's Nerf guns here, so you got, like, you and all your friends can shoot each other. This is a pretty regular bedroom. Oh, there is a sign in here with the entrances and exits as well. Don't know what this is for. Like, you're in bed and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I gotta get out of here! Okay! So the theming is a little bit less strong in some of the regular bedrooms. I'm not really sure why they like stretched an image of a pilot over the headboard like that. We got two little aliens trapped in tubes right here. The owner didn't really say too much about these guys. He pretty much just said that this is filled with a gas that kind of tortures them. They don't really look like they're doing much, but they're in a severe amount of pain right now. Over here, you got kind of a entertaining hanging out space, large sectional. Got a big beanbag, which I haven't sat in yet. Let's see if it's comfy. It is! Yeah, this is nice. And this is the perfect spot, too, if you're watching a movie. That way you don't see any of the movie. This is what the American Gothic painting would look like if it was all messed up and fucked up and there were aliens in it instead of, like, a guy and a girl and if there was a UFO in the background and the farm was on fire. Because I've always wondered like what that would look like. These are more cool bunk beds. I feel like that's kind of a theme of this video is cool bunk beds. I'm glad that all the Airbnb houses just have like little bunks, little tiny little claustrophobic places for me to sleep. And then this is like what it would look like if American Gothic was all fucked up. There's this like climbing area where you can climb up these crates and then go up into the tunnels. There's a tunnel system above this whole place. Dude, if I was a kid, if I came here on a trip, like if my family booked this as an Airbnb, this would be so cool. These tunnels, even as an adult, this is cool. The one thing I will say is that down there is a slide. I went down that earlier, and the first time I went down head first, and that is not a good idea. Oh! Do not go down the slide head first. I felt like one of those 2D images of like a cave diver. And out back, oh baby, you got a grill, you got chairs, and you got a pool. All right, guys, you already know what time it is. It's time to show you where I'm gonna be sleeping tonight. I had a few interesting options, such as the cryo chamber bunk beds, just a tube up there. I could have just slept in a tube. But you already know, I can't stay here without sleeping in the UFO. The cool part about the UFO is I have this door that is sealed shut, so no one can get in and I can't get out no matter what. There's like a plug to plug your phone charger in right here, and then it just kind of dangles over your face all night, so that's really nice. But once I figure out a solution for that, I think this is gonna be really quite a cozy place to sleep. All things considered, it was a pretty good night. I slept well in the bunk bed, and this is a pretty fun house, you know? It is not built for a family. As I woke up this morning and stepped my bare feet on the concrete floors, I did realize that this is not a home. This is a converted hangar that is meant to look like the inside of Area 51. This is not a place to lay your head every night. So I think that this is just gonna be an Airbnb for the rest of time. I am a little disappointed that we didn't even see any aliens though. And now it's time for the underground house. What Zillow is calling one of America's most extraordinary residences. Not to be confused with this underground house, which is, not. Okay, this is 5 beds, 6 baths, 16,000 square feet for $5.9 million in Vegas. And it is an underground bunker. I was really excited that this place is letting me come visit them because I made a video about this place on my second channel. At the time, I thought that this retro look was an interesting choice, not realizing that this is not a choice. This place was just built in the 1970s. They were like, let's build the place and make it look like it's now. The original owner of this place, Jerry Henderson, was a billionaire and an executive at Avon. Yes, the pyramid scheme. Jerry may have been on top of a pyramid scheme, but when it come to living in a house, he liked for it to be underground. He and his wife Mary fully lived in this underground bunker that sits 26 feet underground. It has a heated pool, fake trees, a cryo tank that can hold 4 bodies and 5 heads. This is actually kind of an interesting time for me to be going to this bunker though, because they are actually selling this place and the closing date is the day after I'm there. So who knows, after I film here, this place may disappear from the public eye forever. And so might I. They might trap me in there, I don't know. Also, is there a big crack in the ceiling? Uh-oh. And here we are at the mysterious 16,000 square foot bunker. It's right under our feet right now. On the outside, you'd probably never know there was something more than a normal house here, were it not for the gigantic gates, security cameras, and a bunch of air conditioning units that lead to nowhere. Also that weird-ass tree that's made of plaster. Were it not for all those things, this would look like a regular house. Originally, when this bunker was built in the 1970s, there was no house here. There were just 2 tunnels like this little one, and then an even bigger one where the main entrance is. These Flintstones-ass tunnels are what led down to the bunker. I guess the guy who built this, Jerry Henderson, actually did not want to live above ground at all. He just built the bunker and was like, no, I'm good. I don't need any natural light. The tunnels for me, please. All right, let's go inside. Just kidding, that's not the main entrance. This is the main entrance. It used to look like a tunnel, and now it looks like a house. Let's go. And here we are in the $5 million bunker underground. And what an amazing sight it is. The first thing you see when you come down the stairs is what looks like just a house. You go into a house and then you go downstairs and then you're in the basement and there's another house right here. You turn the corner and it looks like you're outside. Dude, the first time I came down here, I was like, am I really outside? I thought I went downstairs. What happened? Am I some kind of idiot? The entire perimeter of this underground home is decorated with murals of the outdoors, designed to make living away from the sun and the sky as bearable as possible. While the murals are nowhere close to photorealistic, they are impressively detailed. The artist who painted these actually lived down here for 2 years while she was working on them, and had her own little house in the back corner of the bunker. Each mural depicts a view from one of Jerry and his wife Mary's other estates, from Beverly Hills to Colorado and New Zealand. Obviously, it doesn't feel like you're outside when you're in here, but it definitely is a step above like a dark concrete bunker. So props to the mural artist for that. So when it's nuclear Armageddon, Jerry can wake up and look out the window and pretend he's still in his Beverly Hills home. He can pretend for just one brief little minute that Beverly Hills still exists. And it's not now Beverly Fire, Beverly Crater, Beverly Alien. Does it look like I'm really in LA right now? Mm-hmm. What if you just saw a nuclear missile just... Oh no, I wish I was in my bunker right now. It doesn't just stay daytime in here though, which is kind of cool. All of the lights in this place have different settings, so you can change it to be like sunset and nighttime. You've got the moon up there, you've got stars on the ceiling, and all of the little windows and streets are lit up with fluorescent paint that I can only assume is radioactive to the touch. Whoa, am I glowing?
Your teeth are glowing.
Wow. It's like I belong here. It's kind of a creepy vibe. That's the thing about this bunker, is like when some of the lights are on and some of them are not, you turn the corner from this like majestic moonlit Beverly Hills scene, and then you're just in a liminal space over here. But over here is a very special corner. This is the Christmas corner. Mary, I guess, was like very enthusiastic about Christmas, and so she had this little nook built specifically for a Christmas tree. There's like a hole in the ground right here that a Christmas tree just fits into. And then there's light switches here for turning on and off the Christmas tree. So it's just meant to always be Christmas here. When everything else is gone, we still have Christmas. But that's enough about outside for now. Let's go inside the house. Now, the interesting thing about this house is that it's called an automatat, I think. Is that right? Automatat?
I think so.
Okay. The term automatat was coined by the architect of this place, Jay Swayze, and stands for Atomic Habitat. He designed them during the Cold War for the wealthy elite who were scared of getting swept away by a nuclear blast. Key components of an automatat include separate indoor and outdoor looking areas, a light system that can change from day to night, and they were also meant to be able to act as a nuclear shelter if needed. He marketed these homes as peeping Tom-proof to people who I can only assume have never heard of curtains. He also marketed them as less expensive, which I don't believe. I don't believe that at all. Jay actually built Jerry's first automatat in Colorado before he built this one in Vegas. So come on in. Come on into my automatat. We can just speed this whole part up. Right off the bat, you can see there's like windows in every which direction that you can see out to different landscapes. The lighting is like very fluorescent, so I wouldn't really say it feels like it's like daytime out there. It's kind of like an alternate universe daytime. Now, this is the famous kitchen that I saw in the second channel video. There's like some crazy stuff in here I didn't even know existed, such as this, which is a trash compactor. You put trash in there and it just scrunches it up real tiny. Apparently that was kind of like a thing in the 70s that really nice houses had. It might still be a thing, honestly, I don't know. Do you know?
I have a few of them, yeah.
You have a few?
I got a few of them,
Yeah, you make a lot of trash.
Yeah.
There is a built-in toaster. Actually, I lied. There's two built-in toasters. Come on. There's the other built-in toaster. Jerry was really into toast. The other thing I found out is that the FBI had like an office Christmas party here. She was like listing things. She was like the Cirque du Soleil, Fallout, the FBI. What do people wear to like an FBI holiday party? I just picture them all like in suits with guns. This is a room that is made out of silk. It's the dining room. And it's made out of silk. All the walls are like soft to the touch. There's just cotton behind them. It's just a silk room. Come on with me. Jerry was a man who presumably liked to party because there's a lot of party stuff around here. This bunker has a dance floor, a pool, and of course it's got a bar. Now, one thing you might notice is that this bar is very low, and that's because unfortunately Jerry was plagued by a lifelong condition that he had to deal with. He was 5'2", and apparently Mary was 4'11". So everything in this house is like kind of shorter than it's supposed to be, and that was just for their convenience. If you're gonna build a house underground, you got to make it your height. So they have one place where they feel kind of normal, kind of at home, even. They wanted a short house. Give us a house that's so short it's underground. Come on with me. Down this hallway that we're in now is the living quarters. There is one bedroom over here. Now this is Jerry's bedroom. And then across the hallway, you have Mary's bedroom. Now, Mary and Jerry were married. So I'll just let you do the math on that. For how crazy everything else looks, this is a very standard looking bedroom. It's not even that 1970s looking. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's a bed. What'd you expect, dog? This is where I sleep. This is the bathroom. Again, pretty low sink. It probably looks like I'm like 7 feet tall standing next to this sink. This material here looks like marble, but it's like a fabricated marble. Jerry had this specially made so that he could like make it just how he wanted, and I guess he wanted like streaks of green all up in the marble, which is kind of an interesting choice. I feel like green as an accent color in a bathroom is kind of crazy, especially to just kind of make it look like it's stained all over the place. But the theme of the bathroom is green, as you can see over here, and there's definitely gonna have to be some blurring that happens in this video because that is just a full naked picture of a woman. I don't think that's Mary. So you do the math on that. And again, in the tub, there's just like, he was like, give me the green stain treatment. That way, when I make my own green stains in the bath, you won't even be able to tell. The toilet used to be green, but apparently somebody who used to work here like stole it and sold it or something like that. So now it's just a regular toilet. Actually, even the drain has like green stains, but I can't tell if that's just like mildew or soap scum or whatever. Oop, it dripped. Who was taking a bath in here? Okay, and this is Darling Mary's room. Nobody called her that, I just made that up, but it is a darling room. Very pink, very elegant. She has a beautiful view outside, so she could wake up in the morning and think, I'm so glad I'm not in bed with my husband, and I'm looking out at this pool. Oh, the tour guide did give us a little bit of insight as to why they did not sleep in the same bedroom. Apparently, Jerry was a bit of a workaholic, so he would just get up and go to work at any time of the day, to the point where there's buildings across the street that Jerry worked at, and rumor has it that there is a tunnel that goes from this bunker to those buildings that has since been covered up, but Jerry used to just get out of bed and go in his underground tunnel to work. I don't really know what the purpose of that is. Like, he couldn't just go up and cross the street and get into his office. It's like he was like actively avoiding being above ground. One thing that I thought was interesting is I did kind of assume that this was purely a like bunker for the end times, and he had, you know, he's got properties everywhere else. He doesn't live here. He lives there, and he comes here if shit hits the fan. But it turns out like he literally lived here. This was his main spot, his final residence. So he really liked living underground. Okay, over here we have Mary's bathroom. She had the same like fabricated marble, but she was like, I don't want green stains in my marble. I want real gold. So there's just like real flecks of gold in all of the marble, just all over the place. That way, when she makes her real stains of gold, no one will even be able to tell. The tub is pretty sick. There's like a light inside of it that you can see from outside of the tub. And then that pink toilet is actually sick. That, I think, is what the green toilet in Jerry's room would have looked like. There is a potted plant on it because they don't want people using it because it's broken, I think. So if you come here, do not use that toilet. Now, being that Mary was 5'11", the shower is very short. So if you can picture Mary must have been about this tall. So Jake, could you put your camera at like your eye level? Your eye level, Jake. Okay, so picture I'm Mary and I walk up to you.
Hey, I'm Mary, down here. Do you want to come to my underground bunker with me?
So that's kind of what you were working with, if you ever came across Mary. Darling Mary. And then we've got the pool. There's a pool down here. Up there where it's purple, that's a hot tub. And then down a little bit, there's a cold plunge. And then there's a pool. It's a swimming pool. It's like a place where you like get in and you get all wet. Being down here and like hearing the sound of the water running is like 50% relaxing and 50% like I'm in a liminal space. It's like my eyes and my brain are fighting. My eyes are like, ooh, we're outside. And my brain is like, you're gonna die. Beverly Hills is gone. Now this is kind of sick. It's a working grill barbecue that is built into what looks like a rock. So when it's closed, it just looks like a giant fake rock. But when you open it, now it looks like a giant fake rock with a barbecue in it. Okay, these railings are like a little bit rickety. I assume that these are original. And the reason I say that is because, well, take a look at where regular railings should be, and then take a look at where our poor boy Jerry put them. Here we have the dance floor. Jerry, I guess, was something of a party animal himself, so he installed this. Apparently, the disco ball was not installed by Jerry. That was installed more recently. And there's also inserts for stripper poles, which Jerry did not add himself. Jerry was not into that kind of thing. It's kind of crazy to imagine all the feet that have danced on this floor, you know? All of Jerry's wealthy friends. Apparently Muhammad Ali used to come down here and party. The FBI. Getting absolutely nasty on this dance floor, dude. Oh yeah, and then there's the cryo chamber. There's just a cryo chamber over there. The cryo tank confusingly has nothing to do with Jerry and was only recently added by the current owners, the Stasis Foundation. From what I can tell, they are an organization that is trying to figure out how to freeze people and bring them back to life. I'm not 100% sure because their website is super vague, and on the mobile version of it, it says they are currently seeking Dawn. But it sounds like they're looking for a place where they can freeze people and it'll be very secure, but on their website, it also says that the location they've chosen for that purpose is 800 acres of land in Texas, so I don't know why they have this bunker. One of the only things they've done to the bunker is put this cryo tank in it, which can't open because it opens on top and the ceiling is too low. So I don't really know why it's here, and I did ask, and it does in fact hold 5 heads and 4 bodies, so if you've got an extra head that you want to come with you to the year 3000, this is perfect. You could throw Walt Disney in there with you. This case has like some of the nice history of this bunker in it. We've got books written about Jerry Henderson himself. We've got pictures of Jerry and Mary. Look at that, at Christmas time. Or maybe it's not Christmas time. I've heard that Mary was somewhat of a Christmas nut. Could have just been any old day of the year. You come by and they're dressed like Santa Claus. And then over here, this is stuff that the current owners put in there. It's like a control board for a really old cryogenics thing, which I didn't even know existed before our tour guide told me that. She was like, this is from an old kind that doesn't even exist anymore. I was like, I didn't even know they existed now. But apparently this type of cryogenics thing involves some kind of ice water jacket that they would put on the person and then freeze it. And so there's a little dial on there that's like, turn on the ice water jacket. That's just my boy Tony. This chair is not original to the home, but I was told that it's very fun to spin on. It's very fun. I get up and immediately walk into this glass thing and shatter it. It's still a mystery to me why Jerry chose to live his last days underground. Some of it may have been due to fears of nuclear war, but it also just kind of seems like he really liked it. He owned a company called Underground World Homes. It really seems like he thought living underground was going to be the next big thing, and he was getting in under the ground floor. I also don't know why the current owners are selling the house. Maybe they finally found Don. To add to the mystery, the sale that was supposed to take place the day after we left ended up not going through. I can't quite put my finger on why, but it feels like all of these houses are connected. Anyway, I'm gonna go down that slide. Do not go down the slide head first. Oh yeah, and then there's the cryo chamber. There's just a cryo chamber over there. That's just my boy Tony. It's like the spirits of all these homes are working together to try to tell me something. But as far as I can tell, it's some incomprehensible bullshit like slide, bunk bed, cryopod, pigeon. All right, well, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new here and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe and turn on my notifications to join Greg. Also, if you want to watch this video, I think you would really like it. So go ahead and check that out. Goodbye.